Good morning. It is Thursday, April 7th, 2022, and coming to you from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamb Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamb, and with me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
It's like the crowd at Augusta when you do something good.
I'm happy they stuck around.
Yeah.
Happy they stuck around from yesterday when I didn't make recording.
Well,
I left my phone in a different room and didn't wake up.
We did have to refund some seats, but I mean, other than that, it's not.
No, they weren't allowed to leave.
I mean, the free attendance isn't enough. Apparently, free admission isn't.
Free admission, but once you leave, like you lose, like you can't re-enter the stadium. No re-entrance.
Right. No re-entry, because I don't want a bunch of drunk people in here.
Yeah. Once you go out to the parking lot, you can only get drunk in here.
Mucking stuff up out there. That's right, man. You're gonna buy our alcohol that we sell.
Yeah.
I mean, what? So we're streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show, and you can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com. Please check out our webpage. You can find links to the past shows and the current trivia question on lambsports.com. So we had NCAA men's and women's basketball tournament champions over last weekend. The Timbers lost. The Blazers keep losing. But good news, the Masters tournament is back, and it started today. Today is round 1, and currently underway in Augusta. We're going to talk about the NFL and some players that are still available that could help some football teams, maybe, or maybe not. I mean, well, we don't know exactly because, how come they haven't signed them yet? A lot of people are waiting for the draft.
That's right.
Yeah, so there's that. And then some other things. We'll fill it in. We'll sprinkle a whole bunch of stuff in here. It'll be fun. It'll be exciting. It always is. The first part of the show. You know what? We're going to do a trivia question first.
Trivia question
first because the Masters related, and let's get it out there. So
I think the last time we had a Masters trivia question, I got it. I either got it right or got close to it.
Yeah,
was surprisingly near.
Yeah, we'll see if you can get this one. You ready? So
this
this one question is, who has finished second, runner-up, at the Masters the most times without ever winning the tournament? So there's your golf question for the day. We do golf question like once a year, so maybe twice. We might do one at the U.S. Open or something. But
it's because because the golf really doesn't pop up once a year, but it does pop up once a year.
Four times a year, a couple times more important than the others. The 4 majors is really all anybody talks about. You don't really care about the John Deere Classic going on in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm not even sure that's a real thing, but I just made that up.
You know what? You could have 100% been telling the truth, and I would have believed you.
No.
The Snap-on Invitational in the Everglades.
Yeah. Yeah. The Dole Plantation Maui Classic. You could
Home Depot Garden Department.
That might be
just the garden department, not sponsored by the rest of the store.
I was going to say that one might be a little specific, but all right.
They have it in a place where there is no plants, like in Alaska or something.
Oh my gosh! All right, that's funny. The first part of the show is brought to you by the Range in Central Washington. Good night. This is off to a good start. The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination. If you haven't checked out their webpage, go to therangellc.com. You'll find all the training, membership, and VIP information and opportunities. Check out their calendar under events, under the events tab. You can find the complete schedule for the month. You can enroll for most of the events and training online with just a few simple clicks. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 7, Sunday, 11 to 5. Go see our friends at the Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. The phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamb Sports Show. The Range, educate, equip, and empower. So we're going to talk about basketball first.
Basketball.
We're going to talk about basketball first. NCAA basketball. So the men's and women's basketball tournaments, NCAA basketball tournaments, have both crowned champions. University of South Carolina is your women's NCAA basketball champion after beating UConn on Sunday 64-49. It was the
Smoked them.
they did. It was the Gamecocks' second national title. It was the first loss for Connecticut in 12 trips to the championship game. Yeah, they were 11-0 prior. So, but South Carolina was clearly the best team all year, and it was pretty much wire to wire, number one, and they won it. And yeah, it was. I don't know. That's one of the things about the women's game I don't like is that every year there's about 8 teams with a chance to win it. Everybody else really has no shot.
Yeah, it could be an 8-team tournament.
Yeah,
and it would be the same.
Yeah, and even then you get these blowouts, these crazy blowouts that you don't see in the men's game anymore. There's no parity like there is in the men's game.
There's a couple. So like Kansas, and we'll get to that one. But Kansas did well, and Kansas had a couple blowouts in their side of the bracket, in the men's bracket. Just them, I mean. But yeah, it does not happen. It's not a common thing.
The women's blowouts though, like when you get to that
they happen every year.
When you get to that first round of the tournament and you see that a number one is playing a 16, okay, and the final score is 83-27, and you're like, that's why are they even in there? That is not even competitive, and I wouldn't even want to lose like that on my last game of the season. Just saying.
Yeah, they won. South Carolina won their first game 79-21.
Yeah,
and then it went from being whatever that is, a 58 point win, to being a 16-point win against Miami.
Right.
And then it was a close game against North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, yeah, when you their bracket had a little more excitement than I thought it was going to, because coming out of the top there, you had your final couple games were South Carolina and Creighton, Stanford and Texas. I mean, those are 2 1s, a 2, and a 10.
Yeah.
So there is a little something going on, but at the end of the day, when you look in the Final Four, it's 1-1-1-2.
Yeah, and
that's not that surprising.
It's almost always that way.
Yeah, and it took UConn being the 2, beating NC State, who was the 1, 91-87. So that was a close game. So, but really, it's just a couple teams, and everyone else is.
Yeah, you could have an 8 or 16 team tournament, and
16 would probably be fine.
Yeah. Anyway, but it is what it is. I mean, until they get parity, until there's enough teams in the mid majors and those that can compete, then the NCAA basketball tournament used to be pretty much the same way. The men's tournament used to be the same way, but it has since evolved where there's players playing at St. Peter's College, so you got guys everywhere that could win.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Kansas is your men's national champion after Monday night's final game, which was a great game to watch, by the way.
It was not bad. Not bad.
I enjoyed watching that. North Carolina had a 40-25 lead at halftime, looked dominant, even though both teams didn't shoot the ball very well in the first half. But North Carolina was an offensive rebounding machine. They had 24 offensive rebounds in this game. Kansas erased that whole deficit with 10:53 to go in the game. Looked like they were going to take control of it, but it got tight down the stretch. Tar Heels had the ball with a chance to tie with 4.3 seconds left, and they just couldn't really get a good shot off.
They weren't getting good shots off the entire second half.
They weren't.
They could not get a look at the basket. And Kansas wasn't getting great ones either, but Kansas was making the fewer good ones that they had. The more good ones.
North Carolina ended with they were 31.5% from the field for the game, which is ridiculously bad. And their 3-point percentage was 21%. So they were just not shooting the ball very well, but they did have 55 rebounds. They out-rebounded Kansas by 20.
Really?
Yeah, by 20.
They lost.
They lost. Correct.
That's something. That's something else.
Because they were getting all those offensive rebounds, but they couldn't make them count. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They couldn't quite convert it. First half they were doing everything right, but that was the benefit of foul calls. There were a lot of free throws in the first half. In the second half, I think the refs kind of swallowed the whistle a little too much, and you changed the course of the game when that happened. Not to mention the injuries. Armando Bacot, 15 points and 15 rebounds for North Carolina before he twisted his ankle late. That changed a lot of this game, I think, because the last couple of baskets were by McCormick, David McCormick for Kansas, and Bacot had done a pretty good job on him most of the game. But It was, to be honest with you, the stars of this game, Arizona State transfer Remy Martin for Kansas. Came in with 14 points, 3 rebounds, a block, and a steal in 21 minutes of playing time, and hit some crazy three-pointers, 2 of them at least, that were ridiculous, and sparked Kansas when they needed it in the second half. And then Puff Johnson had 11 points, 6 rebounds in 18 minutes before he got sidelined with a shot to the stomach that made him literally, throw up on court. Ugh.
Ugh.
He was out of breath and was looking pretty bad. But that hurt North Carolina as well. Not to mention that what's his name? I can't think of his name out there. Brady Manick in the first half got that elbow right to the forehead.
He got hit in the head twice.
Yeah, he got hit in the head twice. But that one early, the first one that hit him directly on the forehead early, was, I think it stunned him for a while. I think he was out of it for a good 5 minutes of playing time. He wasn't fully there. And then he came to life, started hitting some baskets. But, that would have stunned me too. A 200 and something pound guy jumps up, falls down, hits you with the elbow right in the head. Man. Anyway, I think those 3 things did a lot to swing this game. I think North Carolina could have been ahead by a lot more in the first half had Manick been with it because he was their 3-point shooter. And then Baycott late was bad. And then Johnson was hot, and he gets, had to leave the game for a good 2 or 3 minutes. Those are tough down the stretch when you have that disruption. Got to put in new players. Leaky Black was in foul trouble the whole game for North Carolina, trying to guard what's his name, Agbaji. So anyway, it was. I don't think Kansas was necessarily the better team. Is what I'm going to say.
Well, I mean, and when their title gets stripped in a few years because of NCAA violations from Bill Self, anyways, it won't matter.
Probably. But yeah, I didn't think that they were the better team. And here's another thing that bothers me. So the AP final poll came out, right?
Yeah.
I think on Tuesday, and
Kansas was not number 1.
Well, no, Kansas was Kansas is number 1, but they have all 30 first place votes. And I'm like, how can anybody who watched that basketball game think that Kansas, all 30 guys think Kansas is the better team?
How do you decisively know that?
Yeah, there's not even close. So, I mean, I would have voted for North Carolina. I wouldn't have voted for Kansas. But you must be bound to it. They must be bound to vote for the champion of the game because North Carolina was number 2. Now I would say, are you sure North Carolina is the second best team in that tournament? Or in the NCAA? I'm not sure that's true either. So, anyway, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't like the fact that they give the first place team, the winner of the tournament, all the first place votes. I don't think that's fair because the other teams, all season long, you haven't given them all the votes. How is all of a sudden now you think they're the best team? If you watch the game, you would not believe that. So anyway, that's all.
The only thing I didn't like is I was watching the game and Kansas earlier in the thing, and I was like, who the hell? I was like, this guy looks really familiar. I'm like, Remy Martin, why does that name sound familiar? Why does the name sound familiar? And then I remembered, oh yeah, he played at at Arizona State.
Yeah.
I watched him play against Oregon for like the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he transferred to win a title. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he did it. Yeah, he was a good player at Arizona State. I didn't think he was good enough to transfer to a bigger school like Kansas and get any playing time, but clearly he played well.
Well, he gets open for threes.
He does.
The guy has no function in the NBA other than being a 3-point shooter, spot up 3-point shooter. He can't dribble to get open that well. He comes off screens and shoots threes. He shoots like Klay Thompson, but he's 6 foot and he doesn't play defense.
He's going to be
he's got no future.
Way too short. Way too short.
Way too short. Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to be contested at the 3-point line by somebody who's 6'9", and that's going to be tough. Kevin Durant starts playing you out there. Shoot over that.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway,
and if you rotate, anybody you rotate is going to be at least your height.
Yeah.
If not, yeah, it's
much taller.
There.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was still fun to watch. It was a good game to watch. The comeback was the largest in NCAA tournament history or championship game history. 16 points they were down in the first half. So, but anyway, still was good to watch, even though I didn't think that Kansas deserved to win. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't always have it the way you want it.
It is what it is. North Carolina had plenty of opportunities to protect that lead, and they blew it. So
they did. They absolutely did. All right, so let's talk about the Portland Trailblazers, who are continuing to lose.
They're doing a great job this year.
They are. They dropped a pair of games to San Antonio, and then they played Oklahoma City on Tuesday night and lost 98-94 to a team that is worse than them. I mean,
Worse than that.
they are, but Portland Portland was trying to catch them. I think in the draft order.
Yeah.
I think that's what the race is to the bottom now. So anyway, but yeah, that was 98-94 to Oklahoma City is not great. The Blazers are currently 27 and 52, 35 and a half games back in Phoenix, by the way. Yeah, I mean they're right there. Have lost 8 straight and won one out of the last 10. But like I said, they're not super trying to do anything, and I think that the Lakers have followed suit. The Lakers got eliminated this week, and
they've realized that there's no chance of them making a deep run into the playoffs.
So this begs the question with the play-in games that they expanded the playoffs and they started saying, and Adam Silver has said that that's one of the reasons they did that was to give more teams an excuse to be in it late in the season, right? To play all their players and be competitive. But when you're realistically looking at it, if your position is going to be 9 or 10, you're better off not making the playoffs. You're better off getting a better draft pick, just tanking a couple games and finishing 11th in your conference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some people are, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to move up a couple spots.
Well, because you have teams like New Orleans and San Antonio that are, and the Clippers that are all still trying.
Yeah.
And they're still trying pretty darn hard. So those teams, I think it had the desired effect.
Probably.
That there are, I mean, your team in 9th place or 10th place right now would normally be trying. But they're trying right now. But your team in 11th place is not really trying.
No, and
especially now they've been eliminated. So.
And they were up in what 8th or 7th. I mean, heck, they were in the middle of the pack, like 4th or 5th earlier in the year.
Oh yeah, back in the day.
But once it started to go downhill, I think they kind of realized, well, there's no hope, and let's just forget about this year.
How does that Laker team look next year? Do you think it still has Anthony Davis and LeBron?
That's a good question. I mean,
I don't know what's going to go on with them.
I don't either. I think let's be honest, I think you have to get rid of Russell Westbrook first. If you're going to keep Anthony Davis and LeBron, you have to get rid of Russell Westbrook. You know that Carmelo Anthony's not any younger.
So
he may be done. I don't know. I mean,
Anthony Davis is under contract through 2025.
Yeah. But I mean, let's be honest, how many games has Anthony Davis played over the last? I mean, when was the last time he played a full season? I guess is the question.
It's been a minute. It's been a very long minute.
it has, and so he's always hurt. And then you know that LeBron has every year lately has had some kind of injury at some point in time, so he's been out. I don't know. I just.
Yeah, they got a lot of guys. They have Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza, Dwight Howard, Avery Bradley, Bazemore, Malik Monk. These guys are all on 1-year deals. Next year they're no longer under contract.
So Anthony Davis has played 2 years where he played 75 games.
Yeah.
And nothing over 70 any of the other games. In his last 2 years, he played 36 games and 40 games. And so, the injuries are there. It's been a constant thing. It hasn't exactly just sprung up overnight. He played 56 games in 18-19 for New Orleans and 62 in 19-20 for the Lakers. That was 62 of the shortened season, or was that last year?
Which year?
Which one was the shortened year? Was that last year?
That was the 2020-2021 season.
So he played 36 of those, however many games they played. Of the shortened year. He didn't even play all the shortened year. So
yeah. Well, no, because he was hurt when the season stopped.
Yeah, he's always hurt. That's what I'm getting at. He's always hurt. He can score 20-something points a game, right? And he's going to get 10 rebounds a game. But if you can only play in 40 of 81 games or 82 games, is that really helpful? I mean,
the best stability is availability.
Because who's your backup, right? And
well, there's a steep drop off when Anthony Davis is your one.
Yeah.
Your backup to him is a steep drop off always.
And that's the problem when you spend this much money on the lineup, the starting lineup. Who's your backups? Your backups are going to be you can't sign everybody that you would normally sign. Your balanced team goes out the window. It is your starters and then everyone else. And everyone else is meh. You know what I mean?
I actually thought they had. I actually thought they had a decent little lineup. I mean, when you're looking down the line, they have Kendrick Nunn. I like Kendrick Nunn. He's pretty good. Yeah. Taylor Norton-Tucker, not a problem with him. Carmelo Anthony was aging. I feel like that was let me help a buddy out, get him on the team type of deal.
Right.
But Ariza, Howard, and Bradley and Malik Monk, those are all solid players. I didn't see an issue with their lineup that much. Russell Westbrook threw a big kink in it when he went through a real nasty cold streak
Yeah.
late in the season, and then injuries were piling up for LeBron and for Anthony Davis, and then when you're looking at that team without Westbrook and Davis, or Westbrook's on the court, but is he on the court without
Right.
Davis and James? That doesn't look like a great roster.
Yeah, and when your backup is Dwight Howard, right?
Right.
He played in 58 games this year, but he's 5.9 points and 5 rebounds. So he's 5 and 5, averaging 16 minutes of playing time. It's not terrible, and he's an enforcer. Let's put it that way. That's the reason he's out there. Is that he's going to pick up some fouls and be a shot blocker, and
Well, Dwight Howard's the only center on their roster
correct.
officially.
Well, you're right, because Anthony
And I
Davis.
think the last 2 weeks I've been watching, I've been watching Dwight Howard actually play center, and then the last few games that Anthony Davis has been back, they've been starting alongside each other. Dwight Howard at center, Anthony Davis at power forward. So I don't know. I don't know what their plan was there, but they've got, on their roster, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shooting guards.
Right.
And then a couple point guards thrown in there. So I didn't know what type of small ball they needed, but I don't know how they're going to unload Westbrook's contract. He costs $47 million next year.
Yeah. Right.
Who is going to take that?
Nobody.
They're going to have to eat that contract, or they're going to have to just cut him.
They're going to have to. They're going to end up having to
cut
pay
him with a supermax.
Well, they're going to end up having to pay someone to take him and pay the rest of his money,
or pay part of it, and they'll
right.
pay the other part of it because he's worth $20 million a year. He's not worth $47 million a year.
Yeah, is anybody? He might have been at one point in time. He's just not now. So I thought when they picked him up, I was like, that may be their piece, right? That may be the guy, and gonna make him a permanent contender. And Russell Westbrook is averaging 4 points per game less than his season average or his career average and he's down in every statistical category over his career, with the exception of field goal percentage. His field goal percentage this year is actually higher than his career average.
Yeah,
and he doesn't look like he can shoot a field goal. It's weird.
It's interesting. He's definitely redefined his lane a little bit. He's living near the rim again. So, which is what he did when he first started playing, before he developed a little bit of a jumper. I think he's got the yips.
Maybe.
I think people are getting into his head with how, because it's what happened to Paul George. Everyone started calling Paul George bad, and then he got bad for a little bit. And then he broke out of it, and now he looks fantastic again.
Well, one of those things that Westbrook has been struggling with is the free throw line too. He's a 66% shooter this year, but he's a career 78% shooter. Yeah. And when you're driving to the basket, when you're getting fouls called, and you can't make the free throws, that has a lot to do with your scoring. So.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's a big issue. But anyway, they've got to get rid of him. They got to get rid of him.
I just don't know
how.
Who needs him. One.
Well,
and that's not because he's bad or anything like that. Because I think once he leaves, how toxic the Lakers are, it'll be a little better for him. Because he didn't deal with nearly as much scrutiny anywhere he had been. And he had been on worse teams in Houston and in Washington. That Washington team that he was on was competing for 8th seeds at best.
Right.
And so he's been on worse teams and never received this much criticism. That spotlight is strong in LA.
And the playoffs start next week.
Yeah.
And
playoffs.
Sunday, right? Sunday is the last day of the regular season. Most teams have about 2 or 3 max games left on the schedule. And right now, the East still, there's 4 teams that could still win the East. The Miami Heat have a 2-game lead over the Boston Celtics, and then the Bucks and the Sixers are 2.5 back. So there's still those 4 teams that have a chance to be right there. But the playoff fields are set. The 20 teams that are in are actually already in. So there's now you're just jockeying for position. Now it's a matter of, are you going to be a play-in team? Minnesota and Denver, for example. Denver's 6, Minnesota's 7. Minnesota's 2 back with 2 to play, but they could still get the 6th seed. and make it out of the play-in. That would be interesting, but I think everything else is pretty well set. The Eastern Conference has their 6 automatic teams and then the play-in teams. I don't know. I don't see any of those the Brooklyn Nets are a play-in team. They're the 8th seed.
Yeah, they're such a dangerous playing team.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That
because they don't have it together. They don't seem like they quite have it all put together. But then last night I watched them come back from being down by almost 21 points against the Knicks.
The Knicks, yeah.
And they looked great down the stretch. And you're like, man, if this team figures it out,
yeah,
from that seeding, I mean, they have a little bit of an uphill because they have to get through the 1 and stuff like that. But if that team figures it out, ooh,
they could
watch out.
They'll have to win one game, but they could be either the 8 or the 7.
Right.
That's they're going to play the Miami Heat have the best record in the East, and they have been good all year long. They look good. It's a good team.
They're sneaky.
They're sneaky good. And then there's the Celtics, who are number 2, and they're also very good.
And they're hot as heck lately.
Yeah, and the Celtics have a rough last couple of games, so they may end up falling in the seeding. The Celtics play at the Bucks tomorrow night, and then they play at Memphis to end the season on Sunday. And
they'll sit their people.
Memphis will. Memphis has already secured their spot. They can't go any higher than the 2 in the West, so they're going to be set. But
they should win that game if they have anything to gain from it. Yeah.
And Phoenix is already the number 1 top overall. They have nothing to play for. They've lost a few games lately just because I think they've been resting people in rotation.
Yeah.
So there's that. And I still would not sleep on the Golden State Warriors.
Sure.
That's the 3 seed right now in the West, and that's a dangerous matchup. But the Golden State Dallas first round matchup. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to anything in the East. To be honest with you, the second round matchups. It won't be those first round matchups because I think that the top 4 teams will dispatch the other teams pretty quickly. But when it becomes let's say Miami, Philadelphia, and Boston, Milwaukee series, woo. Those are going to be good basketball games. So
they should be, anyways.
Yeah,
I know. I'm sitting here looking at them like if you're in the Eastern Conference, obviously as the Celtics, you have a half game up on the Bucks. I think you want to keep this spot and try and get the Cavs as a team to play, because right now Cavs are in 7th, the Nets are in 8th, assuming that sticks through the play-in.
Right.
And the Bucks have to play the Bulls.
Yeah.
Which is not nearly as good of a draw. So the Bucks are going to be reaching to get up there,
right,
into that 2 spot. But if you're the Celtics, you need to keep them off, because that's a much more winnable first round against the Cavs than the Bulls. Although the Bulls did just announce that, what's it called? Not Melo. What's the ball brother? Lonzo's out for the rest of the year.
Yep. Yeah, that's not helpful.
No, it's not helpful. But yeah, there's going to be some fantastic matchups. It's nice to see Golden State back in the playoffs.
Right.
It sounds so weird because I feel like a couple years ago you were like, ugh, Golden State again.
Right.
But they've been fun to watch for the last 7-8 years, with the exception of last year where they were just bad and sad because everyone was hurt.
Bad and sad.
But you never saw them like lose a step because they lost a step. You saw them lose a step because they broke their foot. It's not the same thing.
So right now, pick the Eastern Conference champion.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks.
Okay.
They did it last year, and they've been successful this year. I have no reason to believe that they won't continue that trend.
I'm gonna pick the Celtics.
Okay, that's a bold take, but I like it.
And now pick the East, or pick the West. Who's the West champion?
The West. The West is much harder to pick because everything in you tells you to pick the Suns. I don't know though. I don't trust the Grizzlies. I'm gonna go with the Warriors.
I'm gonna take the Suns. I think it'll be Suns. I think it's gonna be Phoenix, Boston.
I'm gonna go with the Warriors. I just don't trust the Grizzlies. I want to.
I know. I don't either.
I just don't.
That's the reason why I'm taking Phoenix, because I think the drop off, unless Golden State gets super hot, and I still think that Phoenix is.
Who's your dark horse?
Total overall.
Out of each conference. Out of each conference.
So I would take the Nets.
Take the Nets. Yeah, that's a logical one.
I would take the Nets, and I would not sleep on the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Nets too, but Mine is the Jazz. I don't know if it's a dark horse near a five seed, but they are such an overlooked team
Sure.
in this group, and they're really good.
The
So
the scoring wise, the Mavericks have the number 2 defense in the NBA, and that's the only reason I say that because defense
yeah, but
tends
they
to be
had
good.
Kristaps for half the year.
It's true, but
So
defense tends to do it for you, and I think they have enough that they're going to be good. I mean, that's how they've been winning games. They haven't been their scoring margin's not the biggest, but their defense is really good. So I would not bet against them. Teams with good defenses usually win a lot of games. So, but anyway,
I need to know how their defense has improved or lost a step since they traded Porzingis, because that dude is a block machine. So
he absolutely is. But I don't know. They've been good of late. So I don't know. I just feel like the Dallas has something. I don't know what it is. Well, Doncic. I mean,
that's what they have. Yeah.
Luka's pretty darn good, no matter where he is on the floor.
But that's my concern though. He's really all they have.
Yeah.
They've got some other dudes, and so I'm not trying to just crap on their roster. I just don't know if Luka's shut down, who's stepping up, and is it enough for that person to step up? Because they have like Jalen Brunson, who's gone off a couple games, but I don't see anybody who has stepped up so decisively night after night to help the team. I don't know. I don't know who's helping that team that way. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see what you're saying. I can.
Okay.
But I don't know, it'd be interesting. Brunson had 24 points against the Pistons the other night. Just about.
Hey, he goes off sometimes. I remember
Yeah.
last year in the playoffs. No, they missed the playoffs last year. Last year down the stretch, I can't remember if it was in the playoffs or not, but he had a couple really big games, and that's why he's got a roster spot. Like I said, I just look through that roster and I'm always like, who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the guy?
And they have Spencer Dinwiddie
They
and
got Tim Hardaway Jr. He's pretty decent.
Josh Green. They got a lot of bench players too that come in. So
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know.
And they got Boban. Who doesn't want to see Boban with his coasters win a title?
Yeah, there's that.
Boban for MVP.
Yeah, for MVP. I like it. Anyway, so let's change topics and let's talk about the NHL. We haven't talked about the NHL much all year, but
Right on.
we need to talk about the NHL here. At least we're going to look at the standings right now. And with about, let's see, 12 games to play, because they play 82 games as well. Hockey does. And I don't think anybody realizes that they play the same number of games that the NBA plays. It just doesn't seem like it, but they do. And they've played about 70 of them so far. But you got two teams that have locked up a playoff spot, just two at this point. The Florida Panthers in the East and the Colorado Avalanche in the West.
I thought you were going to say the Kraken. Darn it.
Well, the Kraken, if you want them.
Exact opposite.
I have to scroll down.
Keep scrolling.
That's
your fingers get fatigued from scrolling.
The Kraken are one of only 7 teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention, and the Kraken are not good. They have the second lowest points in the league.
Yeah, dang Golden Knights skewed everyone's opinion of what a first year team could do or should do.
Their difference it's their defense that's been the issue. Their defense has been bad. Their offense has been okay. It really has been. But their defense is so bad that they just can't keep up. The offense can't score enough. So it's been an issue for Seattle. It's going to continue.
I would say their offense is a problem too. In the Pacific Division, they're second to last.
Yeah, but
scoring goals.
But part of that's because they don't have the puck. The defense can't get the puck and turn it over to them. That's part of why that's a thing. But if you look at it, goals, against, that's highest in the
246
in the
it's
Pacific
a lot.
by a stretch. I mean,
not great. Hey, but they're 5-5 in their last 10.
Hey, you know what? Playing better.
Watch out.
They
comeback starts today.
They can't even catch San Jose. Well, they could. I mean, it's 12 games, but they're not going to. Anyway. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know who the best team is in this thing, but I will tell you this: when you look at some of these divisions, and the Pacific Division is one of those that pops out at you. The Calgary Flames at 93 points, but 87, 86, 82 from those other teams in the division. The other conferences have like 3 teams at over 90 points, each one, right? And if you look at the Atlantic, Florida, Toronto, Boston, Tampa, they all have 93 points or more, and they just look better. The East just looks better, and there are those teams we haven't even talked about, like Pittsburgh, New York, Carolina. Those are the Washington Capitals can beat you.
But God, you hope they don't.
Yeah, well, there's eight good teams in the East, and the West has four. I mean, ish. And the Edmonton Oilers have the top two scorers in the NHL, and they're only second in their division, with only 87 points, which puts them somewhere in like 10th or 11th in the overall in the NHL in terms of points. I don't understand that. They have two of the top scoring players in Draisaitl and oh crap, I can't remember the other center's name.
Oh, you got him now.
Oh shoot,
you are on the spot.
Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid.
There you go.
Woo.
I knew. I don't know a lot about hockey, but I knew his name.
It took me a minute. I know it had David in it, but that's all I could remember.
That's why I was kind of like, are you going to forget the one that should be fairly easy, at least at the start?
I just knew it had David in it. That's all I knew. I just couldn't remember the rest of it. Anyway, I pulled it out. I'm going to give myself a solid B on that one.
It only took you a few seconds.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But Draisaitl's an easy one because it's not a common name. You just remember that one. Anyway, all right. So, but the NHL is going to be interesting to watch. I like watching playoff hockey. I am a big fan of playoff hockey. I think it's fantastic.
Whole different intensity, I think.
The hits are harder. They skate faster. It's just a whole different level.
They fight less, though.
They do fight less because no one's going to get thrown out. Just get a suspension. You don't need a suspension in the playoffs. I mean, that's the thing. But still, they get chippy, which is kind of what you want to see. But I think the contests are much better in the playoffs. And just watching the regular season game between the Kraken and the Carolina Hurricanes, you're not watching anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to see much. So anyway, that's all I'm saying. But anyway, it'll be fun to watch. Anyway, it's coming up. Their regular season ends, I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
It might be more than that. I think it's 3 weeks from today. But anyway.
12 games, yeah.
And then we get that NHL playoff at the same time as the NBA, is it at the conference semifinals. And you got a lot of playoff action going on. And it's a lot more fun to cover. So, anyway, that's where we are. Just saying.
Keep things exciting this time of year.
It is. It gets exciting this time of year for a while, and then July arrives.
And then July arrives,
and then we don't have anything to talk about.
You go outside
Baseball.
for a few minutes, take a breath.
Baseball and golf.
Come right back inside and start watching preseason football.
WNBA. Yeah, not that that's wrong. Not there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying it's not the draw. It's not the same thing. It just doesn't feel like the same level of intensity.
Right.
So anyway, but whatever. So second half of the show is brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Be sure to tune into BossKittyLive.com for knit-alongs, games, fun, and exclusive sales. They're swapping over to Facebook. No, Facebook. YouTube. You're going to be on YouTube Live. I'm sorry. They're going to be on YouTube Live from now on. But you can still go to BossKittyShop.com, get your kitty glitter yarn. It's soft, sparkly, and out of this world. Looking for a gift, you can get them at Boss Kitty Shop virtual gift card and let them pick it out themselves. That's Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Yarn so boss, you'll knit your pants. So if you go on YouTube and type in Boss Kitty, you'll find it. Their shows are on there. So anyway, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. So let's move to what are we doing? Second half of the show?
Timbers.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Portland Timbers real quick because they lost again. They're struggling.
They lost bad too.
3-1. It was 3-1, and yeah, well, they gave away an own goal. That's not helpful. Javier Hernandez, and you know him better as Chicharito. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who knows soccer, who's listening that knows soccer, but that is him on the screen there. But he scored a pair of goals, and Bill Tuiloma for Portland added an own goal, and the LA Galaxy won 3-1. So Portland's won one game. They're 3 ties and 2 losses at this point. They're like, I don't know, they're way down in the standings. It's not even. It's a little bit
not even fun.
It's a little bit heartbreaking at the moment, but they're in 11th place in the West, tied with Sporting Kansas City. Portland's next game is April the 9th, this Saturday, at the Vancouver Whitecaps, who actually have a worse record than Portland. So
woo, winnable.
Maybe
games.
Maybe it's winnable. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Comeback starts today.
Maybe. I mean, they're a second half team. Portland is. They have been anyway. I don't know why that's the thing, but they don't normally do well in the first half of the season. Anyway. Formula One is in Australia
Woo.
on Sunday, and I don't remember what time that is. What time the
10 p.m. on Saturday.
10 p.m. Saturday night
Yep.
is the or Sunday night is the race or Saturday night?
Saturday night
Because
is
it's
the race.
Sunday. That's right.
Because
It's
it's Sunday in
Australia.
Australia.
Okay, so 10 p.m. Saturday night. There you go. If you stay up a little late, it'll be over by midnight.
I'm pretty jazzed about it because of the race time. Because I think we get 3 races a year, or no, sorry, we get 2 races a year where it's in the evening.
Yeah.
For us, and this is one of them, and I'm very excited about that race time.
Yeah, and it'll be over by midnight, so you'll be in bed.
It'll be over by midnight.
You'll be in bed by midnight on a Saturday, which nothing good happens after midnight anyway. So
not a damn thing good happens after midnight.
So watch it. Stay up and watch it.
That's what Mom says.
Stay home, and you can watch it from the comfort of your chair, and it'll be on ESPN, or I think it's ESPN.
It's ESPN.
Yeah,
they have all the race broadcasts. Technically, it's a redirect of the Sky Sports.
Yeah,
but that's all right.
And you get if you're looking for the pre stuff, the qualifying and practice and all that stuff, it's usually on ESPN2.
Usually on ESPN2, but it's at like 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Friday or something like that. Yeah, and it's kind of wild. The whole time thing is strange because you're used to watching this stuff on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right. Yeah,
so.
it'll be, but anyway. Go watch it. If you haven't watched F1, we've been telling you. I don't know for how long we've been telling people, but watch it. It's fun. You'll like it. I promise.
You might like it.
I'm telling you. Anyway, if you like racing at all, this is more exciting racing than watching NASCAR guys go around, for 600 miles. So
you're either trying to turn they announced that they're doing the Vegas race next year, which I am all in for, but there's a bunch of people trying to petition to get NASCAR to do a street race there, like the same weekend or the weekend after. Like if you're gonna have the course set up, you might as well do something.
Yeah, I don't know. NASCAR.
I'm not gonna stay for that. I just that was a note there.
NASCAR's not as exciting to me. It just isn't. I don't know why. I mean,
I would agree.
It looks like bumper cars most of the time. That's why I think. You know what I mean?
That's because rubbing is racing.
Rubbing is racing. That's right. We learned that in the 90s. Or was it late 80s?
That reminds me. I was looking through retirement rates for races, and and Max Verstappen does not finish 1 in 5 races. and that's not due to car failure.
Right.
Yeah, because there's a retirement because of an incident or a wall or blowout. It includes blowing out a tire, and then there's a retirement because you pitted and then you retired. Which kind of think was he did on the last one.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty crazy. But also you have guys like Pierre Gasly has a high retirement rate. His is somewhere 22, 23%.
Yeah.
And I'm like, geez Louise, guys, let's get across the line.
Right.
We got to finish these races.
If you can't finish, you can't win. That's what
it's true.
General rule.
Pretty sure you have to do all the laps.
You do. They make you. That's you don't. That's not exactly true. As we remember last year at Spa when it was raining and they cut it short.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
it's because they were worried someone was going to die out there.
You didn't have to do all the laps. Just some of the laps. You just had to be just in front when we finished 10 laps or 12 laps or however many it was. It was kind of silly. Anyway.
So I guess the better way says you have to finish all the laps when they call the race.
Right. When they say it's over, you have to be in first or you don't win. That's a thing. It's just a weird quirk of the rules.
Somebody posted that picture of Cal Naughton Jr. saying hey, wouldn't it be nice if I could win one once?
No.
And he's like, well, then how would I win? He's like, I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my gosh, everything boils down to that shake and bake. Anyway,
right.
So Bobby Wagner, if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, is no longer a Seattle Seahawk, and he's going to play for the Rams, and he's filling that Von Miller role, right? Von Miller's out. Bobby Wagner's
out, but Von Miller's a linebacker. Yeah. Sorry, they're both linebackers, but Von Miller's not really a linebacker.
He's a pass rusher.
He's an edge rusher.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Bobby Wagner's a much better coverage guy.
He's an upgrade in terms of total defense, I think. I think so over Von Miller at this point in his career. Yes, I would take Bobby Wagner over Von Miller at this point in his career. Yes, absolutely. 5 years ago, Von Miller.
What do you mean 5 years ago?
4 years ago?
Von Miller's old?
Yeah, he's old in terms of NFL linebackers. How old is he?
I mean, well, Bobby's 31,
Mm-hmm.
so it's important. And Von Miller
That's
is,
what's important.
well, that's a important thing. And Von Miller's 33. They're like the same age.
Yeah, I'm just saying. When he was 28, I would have taken him right off.
It's hard to call him a total upgrade because he doesn't do the same thing.
I am just
He does not pass rush quarterbacks.
correct.
That's not his gig.
But
so
he is
you're losing pass rushing, but you're gaining run stopping.
he is a tackling machine that can play pass coverage. Von Miller is a quarterback sack waiting to happen, right? Yeah. And can pursue a run because he has speed, but he's not that run stopper. So
he affects an entire play though. Anything that happens in the backfield, Von Miller is the guy you want.
I understood.
Bobby Wagner's, like you said, he can do pass coverage. Von Miller can't do pass coverage, but Bobby Wagner can't rush the quarterback, and Von Miller can. So give and take.
Maybe.
And not having Von Miller is going to make Aaron Donald's job a lot harder. Putting Bobby Wagner back there doesn't make Aaron Donald's job that much easier.
I like having guys that can tackle.
I agree.
I think
they didn't seem to have a problem with the last formula.
No, that's true. Well, the Rams were loaded.
I do think the Bobby Wagner pickup is good. I'm not arguing against his pickup. I'm not sure that I agree with that. It's a huge upgrade.
I didn't say it was huge. I said it was an upgrade.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's just a little. I think you're just getting more total defense out of him than you do out of Von Miller. That's all.
Okay.
And that's all I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know how they'll do.
Still suspicious, but all right.
And you're definitely still putting in Von Miller on third and long.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't have. If you're Buffalo, you're doing that now. So there you go. That's all I'm saying. All right. No offense to anybody who's a Von Miller fan, and that's you apparently.
I like Von Miller. He did really well by my team for a long time, and I'm happy to see him be successful everywhere he goes. So
yeah. So Stephon Diggs reached a $104 million contract extension with the Bills. Speaking of the Bills.
Jeez Louise, he's expensive.
And $70 million of that is guaranteed, which is the way that all this is going, by the way.
Jeez Louise, that's expensive.
That is a lot of money for a wide receiver. But he's really good. I mean, but is he that good? I mean, is it? And what's the deal with all the guaranteed money? That's just the way everything's going, and I don't like the guaranteed money because I'm guaranteeing that if I get hurt, I won't play every game, or if there's this, I won't play, or if there's something. You know what I mean? I can't guarantee production, but I can guarantee I have to pay you. So, I don't know. It makes it tricky when you start guaranteeing things. I don't like the guaranteed money things because I still think you should get paid for what you do, not what you did. That's just me.
That's interesting. It's hard to do that though, right?
I know it is.
Because it's a sport that has the potential for career-ending injury. It's hard to say, hey, I'm not gonna pay you now.
Right.
It's proven to bite people in the butt so many times. So
what I have a problem with is if you went out this year and you were playing quarterback and you threw 70 touchdown passes.
Sure.
Okay. And then signed a gigantic contract, right? That guaranteed you $5 billion because you're clearly the best quarterback to ever play the game, right? Sure. And this year you come out and throw 60 touchdown passes. I'm disappointed because you did not do what I paid you to do. What I paid you to do was throw 70 touchdown passes. You're not throwing that? Well, then why am I paying you what I'm paying you?
I don't view it that way even the slightest. Did you win the division last year? Yes. Did you win the division this year? No. Now we got a problem. I could care less if you do it with 10 touchdown passes. I want to win the division. I want to get to the playoffs. That's the bar for me is moving success up in terms of your placement in the NFL, not in terms of personalized stats. I mean, you want to sell tickets and you want it to be exciting, but there have been plenty of teams in history that have proven that you don't need one thing or the other. You just want to improve. So as a quarterback, if you went to the divisional round last year and lost, and this year you get there and win, you've improved. If you get there and lose again, you've stayed the same. And if you don't get there, now we have a problem. So I think that's where I sit on those guys. Yeah. So I think it's all based on team success.
And I would agree with you if I was paying the team as a whole. And I'm not paying the team as a whole. I'm paying you as an individual to be the best you can possibly be.
Sure.
I can't pay the whole team.
You're paying you as an individual to win.
Well, yes, but I'm paying the team to win, and I'm paying you to be part of that team. I'm not paying the, you know what I mean? If I could pay the team as a whole and say, hey, if we win the championship, this is the amount of money that's out there, and we'll divide it up. That would be okay with me, but that's not how it works. I have to pay you to be awesome. And if you're not awesome, and I paid you because last year you were awesome, and you're not awesome this year, then I've just lost money. I mean, I literally have. I'm not.
I mean, I guess that awesome is different. Like,
Well,
awesome to me is winning games. I could care less about how you win games.
well, I get. So here's my point. So you throw 70 touchdown passes this year, right?
And win 10 games.
And next year you throw 10 touchdown passes and we win 10 games. Somebody else did that, not you. It was not you. You are not leading me to 10 wins. Somebody else did that.
Yeah, that's never happened.
No, it's never going to be. But
usually your drop off is if
a little.
somebody throws 40 touchdowns one year, the next year they'll throw 37.
Right.
So yes, in that rare scenario that somebody goes from a massive amount of touchdowns to a very tiny amount of touchdowns and there is no injury, which that's happened, then I'm gonna say sure, you got to gripe. But in the more likely scenario that somebody goes from 36, 37 touchdowns down to 32, 33, maybe their interceptions go up a little bit, but they win the same amount of games, you don't have a gripe. Not a real one. As long as the wins are there and you're still competing in your division and you're still competing for playoffs,
I'm gonna gripe.
I don't think there's a real gripe.
I'm gonna gripe anyway. All right.
Yeah, it's part of the fun.
It's my money. I'm an owner.
It's my money. Use it when I want it.
That's right. I could have used it for something else. I could have bought a yacht. Instead, I paid you $70 million to be a wide receiver. Anyway, let's talk about some players that could help teams. There's been all these free agent signings and trades and things, but let's talk about guys that are still free agents that haven't signed either with their current team. So one of them is Tyrann Mathieu.
Right. He's probably the biggest one out there.
Probably the biggest one out there. Would you take him on your team if you needed a safety right now?
No.
Is he too much money?
Well, yeah, he's too much money, but I'm not a big fan of the all-out play. For me, he seems like an all or nothing kind of guy. Either he makes he's like a Jalen Ramsey. Yeah. He makes the play or he whiffs on it, and you're host.
Yeah.
So, and that's a great thing, or it's not. And so, I'm not a fan of that. I want a more consistent. I would rather take somebody who pass breakups. I don't know.
Yeah.
50% of the time than somebody who picks it off 10% of the time. Like I would rather take more consistent opportunities to get their offense off the field.
Right.
So
all right.
That's me. But yes, he's also very expensive and he's starting to get older.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, I don't know how that guy keeps getting chances. He keeps getting cut, and he's got a lot of opportunities. And I don't get it how.
He still is a massive talent. Look at the size and the speed and all that stuff. I just don't know. He hasn't necessarily produced, and there's been injury issues, and I know there's a lot of problems, but somebody's still going to be willing to take a chance.
And he's gotten better. Because early in his career, he had more issues.
That he's going to be that third down rusher that you need. But I don't know. I mean, it's another good one. Let's see, another good one that's out there. Stephon Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore's a pretty big one, but he's old.
He's only 31.
He's old. For a cornerback, he's old.
Yeah, he's only 31. I'm just saying.
Tyrann Mathieu's 29. I was calling him old. So
well, I mean, kind of.
I'm gonna be consistent here.
I guess all these guys are old then, because I think most of these guys are about that same age.
Yeah, there's only a couple that are like those young guys.
Landon Collins for the Commanders, safety.
Old.
He's out there. 28. He's 28.
Old.
All right.
Old man Collins.
He's still and I think the reason that we talked about at the beginning of the show is that a lot of these teams are waiting until they see what they get in the draft before they re-sign these guys.
Yeah.
And because you can get a rookie, for a rookie contract as opposed to paying one of these guys, multi-million dollars, and obviously now you have to guarantee everything. So rather than do that, let's see what we get in the draft. Maybe we'll get the right guy.
Sure.
See what happens. But these guys are going to end up on roster somewhere. All of these guys are going to be signed to somebody. Just a matter of what they're going to get and where they're going to go. Also, Jarvis Landry is out there.
Landry's out there, yeah, floating around. So is Odell.
So is Odell Beckham Jr.
That's the crew. Odell and
by
the way, so is Vernon Hargreaves.
You can yes.
Which is funny because he was the guy who got the penalty on the field in the Super Bowl.
You can have
Bro, you lost your job because of your crap.
You can have both of these guys, by the way, on your team, just like Cleveland did, if you'd like. And
Yeah, well, they might go back to Cleveland now because now they got a quarterback.
yeah, well, they
If
got
you, if
they
you
got
believe
3
them.
quarterbacks now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they still haven't gotten rid of Baker. I don't know what's going on with that. He's not a free agent, but he's there. So who knows?
Yeah, they're waiting for the draft to move him.
Absolutely. See where people who ends up needing one. How about Gronkowski, who said, and I quote, what did he say? "I'm not ready to commit to another season yet, but if he comes back, he's going to Tampa, right?"
Well, that's what he said. That's what he said. He says he's not ready to commit to another season yet, but if he comes back, he's only going to play for one team. That's Tampa.
He's going to commit. You know what he's going to do? He's going to sit out all the training camp and then say, "Oh yeah, I'll play."
He's going to say, okay, fine. You talked me into it, Tom.
Right, because I don't have to go through training camp. It'll be okay. I can sit around and party for an extra couple months. I'm just saying that's a Gronk thing. Gronk
I got
is
some
33.
guys. Yeah, he's up there in age a little bit. I got some guys on my list that Joe Hayden.
Uh-oh.
He's a little older, but
you didn't let me get to him.
Well, you hung up on Gronk for 10 seconds. Dude isn't even playing.
Julio Jones.
Yeah, no one cares.
Okay. Ndamukong Suh. Okay. You're saying Kyle Van Noy?
He's actually he's not bad. He's not bad.
There's Joe Hayden.
There's Joe Hayden.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also Dwayne Brown. Might be one of the biggest offensive tackle names you could go out and get. And I don't know if Seattle will re-sign him because there's no reason to protect the quarterbacks they have now.
Just Drew Lock, the way the Broncos felt about it.
Did I say that? You don't really need to protect Drew Lock because he's not going to be your permanent answer, I don't think. But whatever, if they do. But if they can sign a quarterback, Baker Mayfield or Colin Kaepernick, because let's talk about Colin Kaepernick for a minute, who threw at the Michigan spring game before it, I guess, and then was the honorary captain for the Michigan spring game. Apparently, Jim Harbaugh believes in him. I don't know, but is apparently seems sincere, and there were people there that watched him throw, I guess, and they looked good. But I didn't never doubted that he looked good. I just don't understand why somebody hasn't given him the chance. And is this the year? Is somebody gonna after the draft go? You know what? I still need a quarterback. Why not? The publicity would be. It's going to be a circus, but it will be good.
Well, they said something really good on one of the networks I was listening to. They were talking about if you take Colin Kaepernick and it doesn't work, you don't like him, you become the team that cut Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah,
you're not the team that signed Colin Kaepernick. You're the team that cut him.
Right.
So, is there a team that wants to take that chance? Oh, that wants to take that publicity,
but
that you cut him.
Yeah, but I guess if he comes in and he doesn't work out, you're going to have you're going to have actual proof that he's not working. I mean, you're going to have statistics and you're going to have game footage to back it up. Right now, you can't say that he's not going to work out. You can't say he is either. So neither way, you can only just try. And then
he's probably one of the most motivated people in the league. I feel like if people gave him a chance, I don't know this for sure. I feel like if they gave him a chance, he'd probably be a little pleasantly happy with the results.
Well, you can't actually give 110%, but I feel like if you gave Colin Kaepernick a chance, he would find a way.
Yeah, he'd try to give you that.
That's all I'm saying.
Try to give you that little bit extra.
Yeah, you want to play good.
What is it? The difference between ordinary and extraordinary? Is that a little extra?
A little extra. That's right.
That's right.
and then how about Terrell Owens? He's still available because he said he's not retired. He said he's retired in the same way Colin Kaepernick is retired. And he said he recently has run a 4.440. I don't know if that's true because this is all out of Terrell Owens' mouth, and I have no idea. But he is going to play in the fan-controlled football league, by the way. At age 48, for the Zappers, and he's supposedly going to be. I think the rumor is that he's going to be on there with Johnny Manziel.
Yeah,
I don't know how that's going to work out, but I mean, maybe if he's still fast, and I mean, he's tall and he's got good hands. I'm sure he still does, but I don't know. I mean, at age 48, is there any reason why a guy that's 48 or 50 years old can't play, other than he won't heal if he gets hurt?
Yeah, no, I don't see a reason why not. Let him go out there and do what he does until he tears what he tears.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The first hamstring tear is gonna be awful.
I mean, if you can get away with not paying him that much,
right? If you got him for nothing,
why wouldn't you at least want that knowledge in your wide receiver room?
Right.
Because he's a fantastic wide receiver. He
Right.
does occupy a roster spot, but if he gets hurt, you just waive him, whatever.
Right.
Or you put him on IR. So it's not I don't see the downside to it.
Put him in as
And
your 3 or
God
4.
forbid,
Your 3
yeah,
or
and
4
God
wide
forbid he
receiver.
comes in and is good.
Right. If he's a 3 or 4 wide receiver and you put him in only with the 4 wide or 5 wide sets or whatever, that's, why not? Is he worth it?
Imagine he gets into the game and has a 400 or 500-yard season.
And
At 48 years old, now you start going, well, crap, who else is 36 who we've let go because of age?
I still think he'd be a dangerous end zone target, for lobs into the corners. He's tall, he's lanky, he's got good hands, he goes up, you know what I mean? He'd still be a great, most cornerbacks in the league aren't above 6 feet, 6'1", right?
Right.
Terrell Owens is going to be a matchup disadvantage in the end zone. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you got to lose if you can't? Unless he's asking for $1 billion, what else you got to lose? I mean, if he'll take league minimum, I'd sign him. Why not?
That.
Let's try it. And then the publicity again becomes good publicity, right? It becomes, you get all this, the media is going to be around you. Oh, look, you got a 48-year-old player. He's the oldest player in the league, and it's going to make Tom Brady play for another 7 years.
Yeah.
So, just to prove that he can do it.
We'll see.
Anyway, all of that's speculation on our part. We don't know anything about anything. U.S. men's national team got their World Cup draw. They qualified. They're in. They got their World Cup draw this past weekend. And Group B is not bad. England, who's a perennial European power, is in there. And then Iran, who is the Asian zone champion, is a good team. They're not great, but I think they're ranked in the 30s somewhere. And then you have a play-in team that's coming, European play-in. Scotland and Wales have to play, and the winner plays Ukraine, and the winner of that game will be into that Group B. So there's still some playoff games to be decided. I think there's still 2 positions, or maybe 3, that they're waiting to fill. But that will be Group B for the United States, and that all takes place in November. They don't start playing until, I want to say it's the 7th of November or something. That's when it kicks off because it's too hot in Qatar to play in the summer. This will be the first World Cup ever played in the winter time in the United States. I mean, but it's, no matter what time of year it is in Qatar, it's going to be warm. So
sounds right.
But anyway, it'll be an interesting group. It'll be fun to watch. Your usual teams are there, with the exception of Italy, right? Who didn't qualify?
Yeah.
Which is weird. I grew up watching Italy being one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the world, and to see them not in the World Cup is strange. So anyway, just weird. It's weird what you're going to see, but World Cup is always exciting, and it'll be back in November. We got a long time before then. The United States is going to play a couple of tune-up games between now and then. They've got 2 CONCACAF Nations League games in June, and then they're going to schedule 2 friendlies in September as warm-ups for the World Cup. So there's going to be a lot more international soccer coming. So we'll cover it at some point.
In like 6 months.
Well, it is literally
longer than that.
A little over 6 months, but it's coming. So that's happening. Oh, there's your sign. That's the group: England, Iran, USA, blah blah blah. So anyway,
Right.
Tiger
played
the front 9 at Augusta on Monday. He played another 9 on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday morning committed to playing. Today is round 1 of the Masters. So it returned for the first time since the par 3 tournament started yesterday. First time since 2019. They didn't have it the last 2 years. And then this round today is underway. And if you go look at the leaderboard, you got, 6 guys tied at 1 under right now. Patrick Harrington being the most notable name that you'll recognize. Maybe Max Homa. I don't know. People don't know who that is. But anyway, these guys are on the 9th hole playing. I mean, that's about where the first group is. They're on the 9th hole right now. But anyway, it's early. Tiger Woods doesn't tee off till later. Fred Couples is already 2 over par, by the way, in case you wanted to know.
I just want Bryson DeChambeau to win so I would really tick off what's his face.
Yeah.
Kepka. Or is it Kepka? Is that one thing?
Yeah.
Gets upset.
They're the feuding guys.
I just want them to both share like a green jacket picture. I want Bryson DeChambeau after he wins to go, that was pretty easy.
That would be pretty awesome. So Tiger Woods, I think in their group, Louis Oosthuizen and Joaquin Niemann from Chile, and they're actually just now teeing off. So, but anyway, oh, did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
There's my golf.
I did.
There's my golf swing.
That was clever
for you. They're just now teeing off. So,
do you think so? We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Is this the greatest comeback of all time?
for him just to get in, or
So that's been so. First of all, I am sick of the Tiger news cycle, and I can't wait for the Masters to be over
right?
because I'm tired of hearing about Tiger already.
We-
But that's what they're saying. Is this the greatest comeback? Or does he have to win, or just him being there is good enough, or like what? Because Alex Smith almost lost his leg.
yeah,
And
no,
he came back and played in an NFL game, a game where people tackle each other.
just being there is not enough, and I'll tell you why. Because he's an automatic entry.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He can be in a wheelchair.
He can get there, yeah, in a wheelchair, yeah.
He's automatically entered because he's a Masters champion.
Right. So does he have to be competitive? Like, does he have to make it to Sunday?
Yes. He has to make the cut. I think if he makes the cut after Friday's round and gets into the weekend, I think then it becomes a story. Until then, it's like, okay, you decided to play. You played in other tournaments, when you were.
Well, I thought his last comeback was the greatest comeback.
Right.
When he came back from all the back issues and all that stuff to win the tournament.
Yeah.
I thought that was the greatest comeback. I for him, anyways. I don't think it's the greatest comeback of all time. Again, Alex Smith gets tackled for a living. Tiger Woods does not.
It's true. Well, I mean, he's also, a race car driver now because he's driving fast through. Anyway, that's what the injury was, a racing injury. Obviously,
you don't spend that kind of money on a car and not move.
It fell. Well, yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. I feel like he's got to make the weekend. He's got to make it through Friday, and
I agree. He's got to be competitive.
He doesn't have to be in the hunt to win, but if he can make it into the final weekend, that's a big story. That'll become a huge story. If he shoots a 80 today and is 8 over, then it's okay. You got to do it again at some point in time because you're clearly not going to make the cut. So I don't know. I feel like he's a big story no matter what, and he will always be as long as he picks up a golf club. You're gonna have that endless news cycle. Oh, look at what Tiger did. Oh, look at what Tiger did. It was not the same way with Jack Nicklaus, but that was in the 60s and early 70s when he when there was no news coverage or very little. So
right.
Yeah,
it was in the paper the next day.
It would have been. I mean, he would have. The thing about those guys that would have been on the news on ESPN had they had it every day, right, during golf seasons. That would have been Nicklaus and Palmer. It would have been Muhammad Ali on the news all the time. It would have been, those guys that were super. Even Wayne Gretzky was at the beginning of ESPN and all that stuff. He didn't even get all the coverage, but these guys that were greats, that were the best ever, would have been on TV constantly. You'd have just seen them all the time. But we see Tiger every time he picks up a golf club because, is he going to play? Is he going to play?
Yeah.
Yeah. He needs to come back and be at least a little competitive in order for me to give him a whole lot of credit.
Right on.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Otherwise it's an automatic bid, and I don't. There's a lot of guys getting. Fred Couples got an automatic bid to this tournament, and he's not going to be competitive. I mean, every year he surprises you with one low round in the Masters, but the rest of it is kind of meh. So, but he's 50 something, late 50s. Freddie, 59 maybe? I don't know. Maybe it's a little older than that. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know how old he is exactly, but Tiger's not getting any younger either. So Tiger's
that's very true. Tiger's 46.
Tiger's going to be eligible to play on the senior tour here in about 4 years. The Champions Tour. It's not senior tour anymore. I wish they'd still call it.
Fred Couples is 62, by the way.
62. Okay, I was going to say 59, so I was off by a little bit. But anyway, still, that's 46. He's 4 more years. He'll be on the Champions Tour, and he'll probably tear that up. That's a 3-round tournament tour instead of 4 rounds, so he won't have to play nearly as much golf. So, just saying, I would not want to be one of those guys who's playing on the Champions Tour at the same time as Tiger when he's eligible. That's all. You're not gonna win anything. So, anyway, there you go. So Tiger Masters, it's underway. Current leaderboard, like I said, there's a whole bunch of guys tied at 1 under. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 guys now tied at 1 under on the day. So it's going to change as you go throughout the day, but it's going to be fun to watch. So first round today, second round tomorrow. They make the cut at the end of that. It's top 50 players and ties. Top 50 and ties. Used to be top 50 ties and anybody within 10 shots of the lead. They changed it this year, so there won't be nearly as many guys making the cut unless they're all bunched up within 10 shots of the lead anyway. So
Let's have them all bunched up. Let's have every one of them tied.
God, it'd be great if everybody would qualify, just like all of the people in. But
They all just agreed. No one, everyone just even.
I'm just telling you that Vijay Singh is already, after 7 holes, he's 6 over par. So he's not probably going to make it. I'm going to let you know that right now.
He's going to need a hell of a second round.
He is really going to need to do something awesome, because right now, not so much. So anyway, you're going to have that, because some of these guys that have been around, Larry Mize, Jose Maria Olazabal, Vijay Singh, these are guys that have been playing forever. And, Bernard Longer still plays in this tournament. There's guys that were playing back in the early 80s, and they, they're old, but they're automatically in because they're Masters champions. And they don't really have a chance. They just enjoy playing. So, but just cool to see that, though. It's nice to see the history, the guys that have been there before, and the young guys can learn a lot by playing with those guys. So, anyway, here you go. Masters playing. I know it's exciting. Got a minute? Do you have something?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, holy cow, Parker's got something. So, in a segment that we'd like to call "Your Mother Thinks I Talk Too Much," Parker has the floor for a minute. What do you got?
So, have I talked to you about this bar that's opening in Portland called the Sports Bra?
Yes, I've heard that mentioned before.
So it is a women's sports bar, I believe is the way it's being marketed. It's women. Well, it's not the way it's the way it is. It's a women's sports bar, and so I thought the way they kind of was announced and brought up, and it's gotten a ton of publicity from like the Oregonian and stuff like that. And so they're saying that if they're going to prioritize women's sports first. I'm on board with that. So when there's TVs on and things like that, they will have a women's sports game on. If there's women's sports on, it will be on the TVs. And I think that's a cool thing. However, I just learned that when there's not women's sports on, the TVs will be off.
Yeah.
That is what they're sticking to. They would rather there be no sports if there's no women's sports. Now you lost me. Now it's no longer about sports and competitive nature and things like that. It's now about, you're not prioritizing sports, you're prioritizing women, but you're selling it as sports, which, I mean, there's enough sports bars in the world. I can go somewhere else, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But I just don't like that idea that we're going to have a bar with the TVs off because there's no WNBA games on and there's no soccer on. There's a bunch of black and white TVs.
Well, I don't think that's necessary. I mean, you're going to still have, you got LPGA Tour.
There's something.
There'll be something
at
on.
10 o'clock at night, there's no LPGA Tour.
No.
It's a day event, and on a day when there's no WNBA games and there's no soccer games, and there's usually something, but not always.
Let's be honest. At 10 o'clock at night, there isn't much on in the Pacific.
That's true. That's true. Right? 10 o'clock at night was an exaggeration. So we'll say 8 o'clock.
Right.
At 8 o'clock, at any given point, there is probably something that can be on, but the fact that they're willing to choose to have TVs off, is kind of a distractor to me.
Okay.
But again, there's another bar I can go to. I just don't understand that logic.
Right. I mean, I would think anything would be better to have on. You'd have more patrons than you would if you just
turn on Sports Center. You don't even have to have.
That's true.
You don't have to put on a men's event, which is specifically what they're going out of their way to avoid.
There's women's anchors on ESPN, and women anchors on ESPN, so you could absolutely show that.
Yeah.
That's
so
part of sports.
That's my issue. Is they're going out of their way to avoid men's sports, which means it's no longer about sports.
Isn't that like Al Bundy's group? Just the opposite of Al Bundy's group? No, ma'am. The one
I don't remember Al Bundy's
his
group.
anti-women's group. No, ma'am. I don't remember what it stood for. I'm gonna have to look that up. We'll look that up for next time. But he had a group of guys, and they all wore T-shirts that just said "No, ma'am" on them, and it was a anti-women's group. Anyway, it's funny.
The National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. There you go.
It is an anti-feminist group founded by Al Bundy in response to Women's Bowling Night.
There you go. No, ma'am was his answer to that. That's hilarious. But
this is
what it sounds like. It's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds just like that. So we don't want men. No men.
And that was in response to the group FANG, Feminists Against Neanderthal Guys. That's right.
All right. So, there you go.
But yeah, I just don't. I'm on board with the bar. I'm on board with prioritizing women's sports. I think that's a cool thing. Once you start turning off TVs on purpose to avoid putting men on your TVs, you've lost me that this is about sports at all.
Right.
And so that's where you lose me. So, but yeah, I think Cassie wants to go there at some point, so I'm excited to go there.
Yeah.
We'll find out what it's
see.
like.
Just
but
see. You're gonna feel out of place, probably.
I don't give a shit.
I mean, just saying. You're gonna be one of the few guys in there, probably. I don't know. Maybe that's.
Oh, it's Portland. Stop.
Oh, that's true.
You know that it's gonna be mostly guys acting like they care about the cause.
That's true.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of hipsters in there.
That's true. You got a point about that. In Portland, that's for sure true.
Yeah.
So
that's my minute.
Okay, it was a good one. Nice. And we got to sneak in Al Bundy. Any chance we get to do that?
Heck yeah.
He once scored 4 touchdowns. Well, we'll talk about that later. We're trivia question. Let's talk about the trivia question because we asked it earlier. Trivia question, the Best Lamb Sports Show trivia question brought to you by Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. The winery at the Vineyard is at 3827 Fletcher Drive. It's open 7 days a week from 12 to 6 for indoor and patio dining. The downtown tasting room, open 12 to 6 Thursday through Sunday. That's at 210 Oak Street. The phone number downtown, 541-490-9461. Or you can call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750. You can email them, info@stavenstone.com for reservations or more information. Stave & Stone, winner of the 2021 Best Local Winery in the Best of the Gorge Awards. So, there you go. Nice. The answer. So, the question. We got to get the question first, right?
Yeah.
Masters question. Who has finished second the most times at the Masters without ever winning the tournament? Second the most times. Do you have any guess? I mean, at all?
Not really. I'm gonna go with let's see. What's the guy? Jack. We'll go with Jack.
Jack. Just Jack.
Jack Nicklaus.
No. He's won before though.
I didn't know that.
You can't. Oh, he's won 6. He's won 6 times. He's the most.
There you go.
He's won the most Masters ever. He's the only guy that you could have picked.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
That's okay. Jack Nicklaus has won 6 times. So, he doesn't count. So it's just guys who have won. Yeah, you have to. But the answer, for all of you people who are wondering, is Tom Weiskopf. Tom Weiskopf finished second 4 times. In 69, he was a 1-shot loser to George Archer. In 72, he was 3 shots back at Jack Nicklaus. In 74, he was 2 shots back at Gary Player. And in 75, he was a 1 shot back of Jack Nicklaus again. So.
Yeah, well, he was tied with Jack Nicklaus for second places. Jack Nicklaus had four runner-up finishes.
Finishes, but he also won 6 times. So.
And then Ben Hogan had 4 runner-up finishes.
But he also won. Yeah.
Hey, so I had the right amount of runner-up finishes.
You did, and so also tied for second.
Win.
Tied for second on this list are Tom Kite, Greg Norman, and Johnny Miller, who all finished second 3 times without winning. So there you go. And Greg Norman is probably the most famous one of those guys who had a third round lead of like 4 shots heading into the final round and ended up losing by 3 shots.
Bummer.
Just literally blew up on the final round and lost to Nick Faldo. But anyway, there you go. That was back in the day. I think it's 89 or something like that.
Well, dang.
That's all I know. I know a little bit.
Learn something new every day.
All right. So that's all we have for today. We're going to be back next week. Different music today? I don't know. Let's see. What do we got?
There it is.
Bring in the funk, right? Okay. Is that what we're doing? I don't know. So that's all we have for today. We're going to be back next week. Probably Wednesday. I don't know. Today's Thursday, but it doesn't matter. We put them all on YouTube, and you can watch them when you want. We're going to have NBA, the NHL, because we're going to get close to the playoffs. The Masters will be over, but we'll have a Masters champion. MLS soccer, more NFL news because when is the draft?
Late April.
Yeah, so we're
23rd, 24th, something like that.
So we're going to have draft coverage here in a couple weeks, but we'll still have NFL news. I'm sure there'll be more that'll come out. But we'll then have the draft coverage, which should be interesting, and talk about some draft picks here in a couple weeks. And then everything will fall into place. All those other free agents that we talked about today are probably going to sign somewhere because they'll need to fill holes. So it's going to get more exciting. We'll have a lot more NFL news come April, at the end of April, into May. So anyway, again, we're streaming on YouTube every week. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can email us at lambsports@gmail.com. Don't forget to visit the website at lambsports.com. I want to thank ESPN, NFL, Fox Sports, NBC, CBS Sports, the NCAA, NHL, NBA, MLS, Formula One, U.S. Soccer, and of course, Our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Lost Kitty Yarns, Davis, Des Moines, State, the River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.